Well, James, I guess today we've got to start with the goals that you conceded. There's embarrassing goals and humiliating goals. They were awful today, weren't they?
Yeah, but we have to look at the goals against Fylde and other goals. I mean, go back even the games where we kept clean sheets. Ball comes in the box and we get centre half who punches it, but Ian saves it and we get away with it. So there's been worries there for a while, but my word, they're coming out now.
In terms of, I mean, the first one. On a day like this, heading back towards your own goalkeeper is always going to be a gamble, isn't it?
He said he was trying to head it forward. Because I initially thought he was trying to flick it back and he just misheaded it, but he said he was actually trying to head it forward. So, and if we hadn't learned anything from last week's mistakes, flicking back, and what you want is your centre-halves to be no nonsense. Head up the pitch, kick up the pitch. The further it is away from our goal, the less danger, but that's a poor goal. They're not a great side, Lowestoft, but they were organised. They make themselves strong, and they just wait for mistakes. And like I said, and you know, teams are just waiting for mistakes now, and we're giving the goals to them.
I mean, the second one, people may not know this. I know how hard you work on throw-ins in training, in all areas of the pitch, up all sides of the pitch. I know how hard you work on it. So to see a goal like the second one must have been a body blow to you.
Yeah, but just centre half just picks it up, throws it to keeper, bang, have a touch, put it down a bit, waits and waits and waits and waits, and then we manufacture it, but then the keeper takes a touch and slips. So, you know, I can't coach stuff like that, but it infuriated me because we actually start the second half extremely well. I'm still having to remind people just to get the ball in the box, put people on the back foot, get crosses in early, get them in before they're set, get your set plays right in the money. And there was an incident in the second half where Sean has a chance to put the ball forward and dumps it to Paul, and then Paul chips it into their screening midfielder, and they're on the attack, and they then take the energy out of us for about 5 or 6, 7, 8 minutes. And I think the game changed then, and it was anybody's game then who was going to get the next goal. Whereas for 20, 25 minutes up to that point, I felt if we kept asking questions of them, I think we'd have got the right answers.
I said at half time it was an incredible turnaround. I don't know what you did or said at half time, but the players came out re-energised. You went with a change of formation, you went with two wide men, and I thought Jamie Mennon and Sam Grimshaw certainly gave you a focus today, didn't they? They were a bright spot. Yeah,
but again, you know, it's difficult because you're coming into this game with more injuries. You know, Dean's ill, you know, Ian's not been himself today. No excuse for the errors, because if you're not feeling well, you just kick it. But he looked flat, and I think perhaps that's the effects of the illness. But he's turned up today because Dean's out. Richie Brodie was sent home because he's ill. We've had other players who we had to put on the bench because they're not feeling the best this week. And then you go and compound that. You try and play an aggressive system to really bring the game to the opposition. And the two support attackers both get niggles and concerns, so we end up having to play with a bit of width, and those wide players didn't really know how to play close to Kay, so it was natural for us to change formation and say to Jon, just go and play as a second striker, because perhaps Sam and Jamie don't really know how to play as a third attacker, but it worked okay. You know, we turned the screw a little bit, but you know, the bottom line is we haven't really made the keeper work really hard from a shot.
You'd probably say differently, but do you think you're learning about your players probably more so from these last 3 games than you did from the previous 7 or 8?
Well, I think we have to go back a step, and you know, if I had a chance, I'd love to speak to Neil and ask him what happened in them 10 or 12 games. Who showed for you? Who didn't show for you? What were the issues? And I think I'd learn a lot from that, because if players don't perform for somebody, why should they perform for another? They're the real questions. I remember when I first came into Stockport back in just around the Christmas time, 2005, and I thought, let's get some energy into this team. Ultimately, the big thing was, this is a team on a bad run of form and they're not a good set of players. But what we'll do is we'll energise them, we'll lift them, give them a bit of confidence, change the shape, use every trick in the book to get some results out of them. But what I realised from that is that you only probably get 8 to 10 games out of a team, and then they revert back to their ways, and that then meant that when we got the best out of the Harple Sings and the Keith Briggs and the Matty Hamshaws, and then we needed to bring in the Adam Griffins and Jason Taylors, and Liam Dickinson came into the team, and we got Connor from Wolves. We had to then bring in good players to really take us forward, and like I said, I think we've learnt that lesson here now. We got something out of the lads for 10 games. Now 1 or 2 players have gone missing, and we're weakened every week, but I still think that we've got a couple of players that we got more out of, but they've gone back to the way they were performing for the most of the season. And in that regard, I have learnt a valuable lesson about some of them, and I'm not going to make a sweeping statement that team, most of those individuals, are not good enough for this club next year.
In terms of the players that were missing today, though, I mean, you're obviously missing Lewis Montrose and Glenn Rule, Joe Garvin's out. Some key players are absent today. Do you feel that they will appear again before the end of the season? But I think particularly Montrose and Rule.
No, Lewis, I think we can rule out. It seems like a serious tear. He's coming to scan on Friday to cut, and then we'll know whether he needs an operation. Glenn, we had ruled out for the season because of the nature of the injury, but he's done quite well in training, and some fans that were here early today would have seen him doing the warm-up. So I haven't ruled him out. But Lewis has been a big loss, and Carl Edgesham, because you need sometimes a big physical midfield, and then if they win and block and stop, I'll go back to the opening goal against Ferriby, and it's Liam King that's flicking on in midfield, and we've got midfielders nowhere near challenging him. So the ball's coming on top of the back four, and then they just turn it round corners. And then you've got the other one where the ball's coming forward and our back four are coming out.
That's right.
Just they're errors that I've done work on the training ground, and I'm not seeing anything on the pitch. So that either means that I need to work on more, or they're not changeable. So going back to your original question, I don't think we'll see a huge part from those players. Today what I wanted to do is perhaps have a look at Sam, look at George West, Jamie Mayner, Ryan Ellison, and to see what value they could have within the squad, and can they push towards being a part of the squad. They may be a bit away from the team if we get the kind of recruits we want, but can they be growers, can they make something, and there's other players who are obviously playing for their futures at the club, but for me today there was very few come out with great credit today.
As a final word on the ground staff today, we got the game on with the scoreline at the end. You may not want it to have been on, but a bit of credit to them today, because I know you wanted to play this game.
No, I think it's fantastic effort they put in. As I said to them, it reminded me of the morning of the Swindon game. Such an effort was put in to make sure that game was on, which was a credit to their professionalism when you compare it to the likes of Bristol Rovers, who had a perfectly playable pitch and made sure it was off. So from our perspective, the ground staff, I mean, you're talking about volunteers, community guys who've come out as well to, they'll have stiff legs from pushing rollers up and down. So great credit to them, and it's fantastic for them, because to be fair to Lowestoft, we don't want to be making Lowestoft come here on a Tuesday night. I mean, I've had teams in the past like Torquay made us go there on a Tuesday night, and I think it's quite unfair. So every effort was made. We've got the game won. It's disappointing result and disappointing nature of goals, but hopefully the fans for 20-25 minutes seeing a team that cared about getting a result out of this game, so hopefully they'll take that positive out of the game.
Thanks for your time.
Welcome.